Sunday morning. I'm so happy to be here. I really am. I'm jumping up and down, but I'm going to keep it at a minimum. I'm going to cry too. So it's such a joy to be here with family again. In many ways, things don't change, but in many ways they do. When I did the liturgy this morning, I was like, oh my gosh, I had to reach up, lean over. Mother Barbara, do we do this? So it is so good. I would be remiss if I did not bring you greetings from my new diocese, the Diocese of Pennsylvania. I have been there for 3 years, and bring you the greetings and the love of my bishop, Bishop Daniel Gutierrez, the 16th bishop of the Diocese of Pennsylvania. So I bring you greetings and love from him as well. And we can talk about what I do there now after service. I love to talk about what I do, so I'll be happy to talk and gab with you after then. This morning I had made known that this wasn't necessarily not one of my favorite passages from the gospel. I just never gave it any thought. I don't even know if I preached it 3 years ago. I don't even remember, but seeing it, I saw with new eyes this time when I read it, and so much has happened in the last 3 years. It allows you to, the way times have changed allows you to see things with new eyes, doesn't it? And so I look at Bartimaeus, and I live in South Philadelphia, near where my church, St. Simon's, was where many of you last saw me. And I live near that church, and so you know that if you remember, it's an impoverished neighborhood that is being regentrified. So I see a lot of Bartimaeuses. I see a lot of people sitting by the road who are blind. They're blind not just from sight, they're blinded by how we have blinded them. And so that's how I look at Bartimaeus. This poor Bartimaeus is sitting there by the side of the road blind. And then, of course, in first century Palestine and first century religious, political culture, being blind said that you were afflicted. And so being afflicted, it was one of the afflictions that did not allow you to come into the temple and worship. So he was outside of the temple. He was outside of his worshiping community. And that he was afflicted and outside of his worship community, he was shameful to his family. And so they said, well, you can't come live with us, so you got to go out. So they basically said, you're out. So that's why he's by the side of the road, okay? So somebody, maybe his family, they say he's Bartimaeus, which means son of Timaeus, and Mark tells us that indeed his father is Timaeus. So maybe Timaeus is still alive. But one thing maybe he has done for his son, who is now sitting by the side of the blind son, who is now sitting beside the road, is they've given him a cloak. And this cloak is what keeps him warm at night, where he is. And we remember from being there when Mother Barbara and I did a pilgrimage together, we remember it got cold at night. It might have been warm during the day, but it was cold at night. So this cloak is what people wore at night to keep them, who lived out on the streets, kept them warm at night. So somebody had mercy on him for some reason to give him this cloak. But for the most part, he had no mercy, did he? He was blind, he couldn't see. So he really didn't have a choice about who he could ask for. There are people who are not blind, who are beggars, can at least take a look at people and go, oh, I bet you have some money. But if you're blind, you can't make these choices, can you? You just are really at the mercy of whomever is going to give to you. So this is Bartimaeus. He is at the mercy of the world. He's at our mercy. And he needs relief. And he knows relief is coming. Because when Jesus comes along, he's on his way at this part of Mark. Jesus is on his way towards Jerusalem. He's already told his disciples right before this what's going to happen to him in Jerusalem. So we, as the spectators of this passion that's happening, getting ready to happen, know that Jesus is what he's already told us, and he's already told his disciples. And so we already know that when he stops Jericho, he's on his way to Jerusalem, where he knows he's going to die. But one thing about having visited that area is Jericho. We know Jericho is really close to Jerusalem. It's not that far away at all. And so he's close to where his end is coming. And yet and still, this blind beggar who's at mercy of the world calls out to him and says, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. Have mercy on me. And he calls him the Son of David because he's calling on Jesus' leadership of all the history of Israel, which goes beyond the temple. As the Son of David, it goes before the history of the temple. Because, Solomon built the temple. So David is the one where this history begins. And he's saying, look, I know you're bigger than this temple, this whole system, which has given me a blindness, which has told me that my blindness means I need to sit down here on the ground. You're bigger than that. Have mercy on me. Have mercy on me. And in his journey towards his death, Jesus stops, doesn't he? He stops right in his tracks. And he says, much differently than we would, coming across a blind person who's totally blind. And Jesus says, what do you want? What can I do for you? And that's not what we normally do. When we come across somebody who is hurting, we want to fix them, don't we? We want to fix them. We want to take away whatever it is that they have and make them better. But really, you know what? It really is not us trying to make them better. It's trying to make ourselves better. I remember in chaplaincy when we were taught, when I was in chaplaincy, and we were taught when we were with someone and they started crying, don't hand them a tissue. That tissue's for you. It's to stop the crying so that I'm not feeling bad that you're crying anymore. You just give them a tissue here, wipe your nose, But this is what Jesus, and this is what we want to do. But Jesus is telling us, when you come across the affliction, sit with it. Recognize it. Own it. Look on the affliction and ask that person, what can I do for you? Because you want to find out from them what they want. And what does Bartimaeus tell Jesus that he wants? He says, I want to see again. I want to see again. And see in the first century didn't mean see with your eyeballs. It didn't mean see there. It meant see through your heart. See through your heart. Your eyes were the function of that. The function of seeing, but we see through our heart. And so he's asking Jesus to help him to see the world again through his heart. Can you imagine what he must be feeling, having sat down there on that road all this time, begging from people that he doesn't know are even going to help him out? Can you imagine where his heart is? And here he has a chance to change himself, a beggar. So if a beggar is willing to change him or herself from the state that they are in, where are we in changing ourselves? So Jesus says, what do you want? What do you want? He says, I want to change my heart. And of course, Jesus says, oh, whoa, this is easy. This is easy. Your faith has already made you well. I don't really have to do anything. You are already there. You already knew I was coming, which is why you called out to me. And you made sure that you got my attention. Because you knew that I was bringing the good news to you already. You knew this. You knew that before I even came along, that I was coming. That I was coming. And so so what does Bartimaeus do upon being told, your faith has made you well? He takes this cloak that has been given to him and he throws it off. And he gets up and he follows Jesus. He's throwing off this cloak. And you might think, well, why goodness, that's not too smart. Now he's going to be cold, you know. But guess what? The cloak represents. The cloak represents the blindness that we have put on Bartimaeus. It says, here, you put this cloak on and you sit beside this road and you be blind and you be at our mercy. And he says, no, I don't want to be there. I want to be where Jesus is. I want to have that love come through me. I want to come through my heart, and I want to see with that love that Jesus is offering me, even as Jesus walks towards his death. It's liberating, of course, isn't it, to throw off that cloak. You know, when I was in seminary, I had an opportunity to go to South India. And of course, India being the place of, I guess, an icon of colonialism, is a British colonialism. And so prior to going, I was like the worst student of missionary work. I thought missionary work was the devil's work, I'm just going to say. And I was changing people. I know, this is what I thought. And I said, you're making people believe like you believe, and you're making them act like you act, and the way you, this is how I saw missionary work. And I said, oh my gosh, they're just making people be the way they are. It's not that they're honoring who people are. You have to be British, you have to do this. And I was like, this is horrible, but I'm going to India. You don't turn up a trip, just turn off, say, oh no, I'm not going to South India because I don't believe in missionary work. You go to South India. So I went to South India. and so I get there, the first day there, we go to the library. And in the library, this beautiful library, and I went to Bangalore, we stayed at the United Theological Seminary. And so we go to the library, and on the first day, and we get there, and they have this huge display in honor of all people, a white missionary. I'm like, oh my gosh, what on earth? These poor people, they've been brainwashed. And I'm like going through my whole thing, okay? So I can't put two and two together here. Why on earth would you hold up a missionary who told you you were no good? Who told you you had to be British? Who told you you had to speak English? Who told you all these things that I thought were just terrible to not honoring these people? So that night we go over and review the day. Of course, we're in a different culture and everything, so we're reviewing the day. And I asked the teacher, the professor who was the head, one of our guides, I said, oh, what on earth are you guys doing honoring this white missionary? And she said, well, let me tell you about this white missionary. Before this white missionary showed up, we were nothing. And the United Theological Seminary is a seminary that was almost set. It's been there for a while, but mostly it educates Dalits into service to the church. Dalits are the current name for the people that we used to refer to as the untouchables. The untouchables in Hindu Indian society. They were not in the spectrum of being all the different castes. They were out of caste. They were not even thought of as human. They were below, outside, not even existing. And she said, what this white man has done is brought us Jesus. And what Jesus did is make us human. We are human because of Jesus. We are no longer off the map. We are on the map because of Jesus. So yes, we are honoring him, but we are honoring our humanity because of Jesus. So this group of people, this Bartimaeus group of people, when Jesus came along, they knew who Jesus was. Because Jesus allowed them to throw off the cloak of inhumanity and be human, just like a Brahmin, just like us. Be human. So I ask you, dear church, are you ready to throw off your cloak? There's so many different cloaks that we wear that the world puts on us, isn't it? There's many cloaks that we have put on that make us safe and warm and cozy at night. But are these the cloaks that allow us to follow Jesus? There's the cloaks of racism. There's the cloaks of classism. There are the cloaks of being a Democrat. There's a cloak of being a Republican. There are cloaks of many things that blind us to Jesus. So I ask, are you ready to take your cloak off and follow Jesus and be the human and be made and live into the image that God has made us all? Are you ready to throw off your cloak? Amen.